Hey everybody, Pastor Hans here. So glad you tuned in, regardless of where you are. Maybe you're at home or maybe you're at one of our partner churches. Regardless of where you are, we're just honored. I'm honored to get to spend a little time with you today. Hey, we are in the second week of a series we are calling All In. And over the course of this series, we are talking about generosity. We are talking about giving, specifically giving to the church. And the reason we're talking about this isn't because the church needs your money. That's not why we're talking about this. We're talking about going all in. We're talking about generosity, and I mean this in all honesty. Your community needs more of you. Your community needs more of your influence. Your community needs more of what we have built together in this church. I mean, come on. I wish you could hear what I hear from people all the time. People who don't normally darken the doors of church. They come to our church, or I run into them around town, and they say, "What is going on here? What's going on with your church? I maybe don't believe what you believe, but man, when I see your people's generosity, when I see what your church is doing for our community, I maybe don't believe what you believe, but I want some of what you're smoking, some of what you're doling out there at Calvary. Your kindness, the way you are generous. People see that and go, how are they that way in this cynical world? I mean, come on. People visit our church. You bring your family members, your relatives who come from other communities, and they come and join us for church. And they say to me, they say, if only there was a church like this in our community, then I'd actually go to church. I'd actually go to church. Folks, we're not inviting you to be generous because the church needs your money. This invitation over the course of this series is because your community needs more of you, needs more of your influence, needs more of what we've created together. And so today, we are going to talk about generosity. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about giving. And if maybe you haven't been around our church, this might make you feel a little uncomfortable. You might feel your shoulders going up right now. You might feel like, uh-oh, here it comes. They're going to ask us for money. But here's what you need to know. Around our church, we may be used to feel that way, but we don't feel that way anymore. Because here's what you need to know. You are listening to this message along with a whole crowd of people who are some of the most generous people I have ever met. They're generous because they see being generous as simply one more way that they can follow Jesus. You see, the people you're listening with, they don't just follow Jesus. They do this. They let their money follow Jesus as well. And I've come to find that it's because of one simple idea that this crowd of folks that they get, but our world doesn't get it all the time. It's a simple idea. It's a simple truth that allows some people in our world to live like this. Would you do this? Put your hands out like this. When you were in gym class, some phy-ed teacher told you this is the way to catch a ball, right? There is a simple idea that some people get that allows them to live like this so that they can catch, if you will, so that they can receive what God wants to bless them with, but also keeps them living like this so that God can use what God has already given them. There's this one simple idea that allows them to live this way that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about it. And in order to get after that one simple idea, we've got to go way back. We've got to go way back to this guy named David. There's one simple truth that he shared in a prayer all those years ago, and Jesus would reiterate that same simple truth again and again and again. And it's the reason why so many people are able to live their lives like this, to live a life of generosity. You see, David was king over all of Israel. And David was in his mid-50s. He had lived during a time where there were border conflicts, and he had settled those border conflicts. It was a time of peace and prosperity in the land of Israel. And so David said, now is the time. Now is the time for us to build a temple to God. You see, all these other gods and goddesses, the Greek and the pagan gods and goddesses in that day and age, they had all these temples where people would gather to worship them, but there was no temple for Yahweh, for their God. There was simply this tent that they sort of carted around. The people of their day, they called it a tabernacle. It was simply this tent. And David said, no, it is time we build a right home for this God of ours. We build a temple. And so he went about the business of beginning to plan for this temple. Well, it was about that time that there was a prophet who came to David. The prophet's name was Nathan. You say Nathan. Nathan came to David and said, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. You see, David, God appreciates the sentiment that you want to build him a temple. But the bad news is this: God doesn't need a temple. He's not looking to be located in one spot with one people in one nation. That's not the type of God we have. But the good news is this. You see, you, David, you can't build the temple. David, you know this. You have too much blood on your hands. You've been this warrior king. There are all these nations that you have put down. You've settled border disputes, but it's come at a cost. But here's the good news. You can't build the temple, but your son can. And so David, he accepted this from Nathan. And the story says that David, eager to make preparations for his son, he began to collect all the raw materials that would be necessary to build this magnificent temple. This would be Solomon's temple, the temple that Solomon would build one day for God. And so he collected all these raw materials, all the wood, all the stone, the precious metals. And the first round of gathering of all these supplies, he spent his own dollar to collect those. But then, when it came time to purchase the second round of materials, he brought together all the influencers in his community. He brought together all the CEOs. He brought together all the business owners. He brought together the rulers of the different agencies of government. He brought together all the leaders of the school board. He brought together all the people who had influence. And he said, it's time. It's time for us to build a temple to God, and it's got to be magnificent. And the story says this. It says all these leaders, then the leaders of families, the officers of the tribes of Israel, the commanders of the thousands and the commanders of the hundreds, and the officials in charge of the king's work, what did they do? Say it with me. They gave willingly. They said, we have to be a part of this. We know how fortunate we are. We can't not be a part of this. And they gave willingly and generously. And here's what's amazing. The common people, they looked up to these leaders who gave generously. And because they gave generously, those common folk of the day, they said, well, we want to be a part of this too. We want to be a part of glorifying God. And they too, it says, gave generously. And as David looked at all of this happening, it says that David the king, he rejoiced greatly. He was overwhelmed by what happened as they made preparations to build this temple. And so what does David do? He gathers together all of the people, all of Israel, and he prays a prayer. And in this prayer, he gives us this one simple idea that Jesus would later reiterate. It's this one simple idea that is so spot on. If you were a follower of Jesus, you have to hear this, because it's what allows people to who follow Jesus to say generosity, it's just what we do. It's how we follow Jesus. And they let their money follow Jesus. It's what allows followers of Jesus to live, well, like this, open-handedly, so that God can give and God then can use what God has given for the betterment of the world. It's this one simple idea that David prays in front of the whole nation. It says, yours, God, David said, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor. And then he says this, say it with me, everything in heaven and earth is yours. Say that with me one more time. Everything in heaven and earth is yours. David was not mistaken. He knew that everything they gave, everything they had, everywhere they turned, everything belonged to God. He goes on, he says, yours, Lord. He says this in front of all the nation. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. Can you believe it? He says, God, I am not mistaken in front of all these people. I am not mistaken. Though my title is king, I know who the real king is. God, you are the one who's ultimately in charge. You're the one who's ultimately king over all the nations. And he goes on, he says, wealth and honor come from you. You are the ruler of all things. What is David saying to God in front of all the people? He's saying this, we are not confused. We are not confused. We know that what we have, even everything that we think we own, it all belongs to you. It is all yours. David looked at all the extra, the abundance with which people gave. And he said, we are not confused. And aren't we the same as those people? I mean, come on. You and I, we have plenty of extra, right? I mean, you know this. Compared to most of the people in the world, we have so much extra. And I know you might be thinking as I share these words, you might be thinking, yeah, but I earned that. I worked hard for that. I hustled for that. Do you know how many sleepless nights I had building my business, earning my reputation, building my influence? Do you know how hard I worked? And I want to say, yes, you did. But here's what I think all of us would say that we are where we are today because, well, an opportunity came my way, right? I mean, there was that break. There was that mentor who took a special interest in you. There was that position. There was that opportunity that maybe you didn't deserve. There was that window of time that you took advantage of that opportunity. And when you did, you worked hard. And as followers of Jesus, do you know what we do when we get those breaks? We say, this opportunity is only by the grace of God. It is a gift from God. I mean, think about it. Think about this. I mean, you did not determine where you were born, right? You didn't determine when you were born or who you were born to. You didn't even sort of place inside you what drove you. What drove you to want a better life than maybe the one that you grew up in, or drove you to out of a hole that you'd found yourself in one day. You didn't determine the people you encountered or those who gave you a chance. You see, as followers of Jesus, we know this, right? I mean, think about it. You know people in your life who say, well, I made it on my own. I did it all myself. I'm a self-made man. Come on. You know that that's not just arrogant. That's ignorant. As followers of Jesus, just like David, we say, I am not confused. I am not confused. I know where this all came from. David would go on to say, he would say this, in your hands are strength and power to exalt and give strength to all. You see, David was not confused. He knew that his position, his title as king, it was all because of God. David was saying, in a sense, again, I am not confused. I know how I found myself in this position as king over all of Israel. He remembered how he became king. Now, I'm guessing most of us, we don't know that story, but the story goes like this. God spoke to Samuel, the prophet, and said, Samuel, David was just a little boy. Samuel said, God said to Samuel, it's time for a new king. We need a new king in the land, and I'm going to send you to Jesse. Jesse had a number of sons, and God said, Jesse's sons, one of them is going to be the next king. And so Samuel went to Jesse, and he lined up all of Jesse's sons. And the oldest son, of course, was big. He was the captain of the football team. He looked like a leader. He had a scholarship in place to play for Oregon. Like, this guy was leadership material. But God said, nah, he's not the one. And so Samuel went to the next son. And again, God said, no, he's not the one. And again, God said, no, till they got to the last son. And God said, no, not even him. That's when Samuel looked at Jesse and said, Jesse, do you have any more sons? And that's when Jesse sort of sheepishly said, yeah, I actually do. I've got one more, but we didn't even invite him because he's just a little guy. He's kind of scrawny. He's out watching over, tending to the sheep. And that's when Samuel said, bring him in. And David walked in, and that's when God said, that's the one. That's the one. You see, David was not confused. He was not confused. He said, I am not confused. You see, all of it, it all comes from God. And when we understand that, it allows us, you and me, to understand that generosity is just a way of following Jesus. That when we let our money follow Jesus, it's just living a life understanding that all of it, it comes from God. It allows us to live open-handed, allowing God to bless us and allowing God to use those blessings for what God needs most in the world. It creates in us a sort of posture of gratitude and humility, a posture of gratitude, knowing that God has blessed us, God has given us so much, but also a posture of humility that understands it's not just because of me. And David got this. David understood this. In fact, in front of the entire nation, he goes on, he says, but who am I? Who am I? Why me, God? Why did you put me in this position? God, why did you give me, of all people, this amazing opportunity? He says, but who am I and who are my people that we should, say this with me, be able to give as generously as this? Say that with me one more time. Be able to give as generously as this. Who am I? Who are we? I mean, think about it. As a follower of Jesus, that should be something we ask on a day. Who am I? I mean, I could have been born in Ukraine. I could have been born in Palestine. Every day we meet people who didn't have the opportunity that we have. Maybe you've been on a mission trip. Maybe you've been with our church to places like Ghana or Costa Rica, and you see people who, yeah, they're maybe sometimes way more happy than we are. But man, they have so little. Who am I? Who are we? When Jesus prayed the Lord's Prayer for the very first time, in that prayer is that line, give us this day our daily bread. Jesus wasn't just being poetic. In that day and age, people wondered each and every day, where am I going to get tomorrow's bread? Where am I going to get my food for tomorrow? Think about it. There was no refrigeration, and people lived a life of poverty. You see, when we live our lives with open hands, we live with this gratitude, this humility that says, who am I? Understanding that it all, every last bit of it, it comes from God. Do this again. Everybody put your hands out like this. Think about it. Everything that you've ever been given, it's placed there by the grace of God. And when we live with open hands, it allows God to use them for what God needs most. David would continue and he would say, everything comes from you. And we have given you only what comes from your hand. And he looked at all the extra that people had given to build this temple. And he said, Lord our God, all this abundance that we have provided for building you a temple for your holy name comes from your hand. And all of it belongs to you. What was David saying? We are not confused. We are not confused. We're not giving you anything. We're just simply giving it back. I mean, here at Calvary, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. Think about all that we are able to do. We pack thousands of bags of food for families that are in need in our community. A few weeks back, we had over 1,000 people in worship. Hundreds of people are involved in connect groups. We've got 500 kids involved in student programming. We're building bread ovens in Costa Rica. We're drilling wells in places like Ghana. Who are we? You see, we're not giving God anything. You see, we're just giving it back. Here at Calvary, we want to go all in. We want to go all in. We want to go all in for kids in our community, for people in need. We want to go all in for spiritual growth. We want people to look at us and go, those people are different. We want to be the people in our community who are known for going all in. But to go all in for people, God is also inviting each of us to go all in for generosity. Each of us to say, we are not confused. We know that all of this is yours, God, and we are simply handing it back over to you. We're living our lives, we're choosing to live our lives open-handedly so that you can bless us and so you can use what you have blessed us with. We're going all in.
Why are you striving these days? Why are you trying to earn grace? Why are you crying? Let me lift up your face. Just don't turn away. Why are you looking for love? Why are you still searching as if I'm not enough? To where will you go, child? Tell me, where will you run? To where will you run? 'Cause I'll be by your side wherever you fall in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't bite these hands that are holding you. And my hands are holding you. Look at these hands at my side. They swallowed the grave on that night when I drank the world's sin so I could carry you in and give you life. I want to give you life. 'Cause I'll be by your side wherever you fall in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight And please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you here at my side. Wherever you fall in the dead of night, whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you. Here at my side, my hands are holding you.
As we close our time together, I want to invite you to join with me as together we pray the prayer our Lord taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Hey gang, thanks so much for tuning in today. So glad that we could spend a little time together today. If you are new to Calvary, I want to invite you to consider taking a next step, a baby step. Head out to our website, calvaryalec.org, and there you can hit the button that says sign up for emails. We'll shoot you out a note each Friday. It's just a simple way for us to connect. And let me say, we would love to connect with you. Hey, before you go today, I want to introduce you to two of my dear friends, Bonnie and Linda. They're going to share this week's top 3.
Hi everyone, I'm Bonnie Holm.
And I'm Linda Rahm.
My husband Dean and I have been part of Calvary since we moved to Alexandria in 2000. And Linda and I have been friends since she and Roger moved to Alec in 2003 and joined Calvary. Wow, that makes us sound kind of old.
I prefer seasoned. Together, Bonnie and I are part of the Elizabeth Circle, a women's connect group here at Calvary since we joined the church.
This same small group of women, currently 10 members, has been meeting monthly for many years, some of us since 2003.
We care for each other, celebrate together, pray for each other as we have battled illnesses and have even walked through loss alongside one another.
That's what connect groups are all about: faith, friendship, and community. And together we share Calvary's mission to lead all people to a lifelong faith in Jesus Christ.
Today we're here to bring you Calvary's top 3. 3 important ways you can join in that mission.
First, our church-wide theme is all in. Jesus didn't invite half-hearted faith. He called the disciples out of their comfort zones and into the adventure God had waiting for them.
And because those first disciples went all in, the world was changed forever. Our all-in giving appeal is happening right now, and we're inviting you to join us in going all in for God's mission through Calvary.
For me, that means supporting youth programs for the next generation of our congregation and other various projects such as quilting, women's Bible study, and of course, Elizabeth Circle initiatives.
For me, I also like to support the programs Bonnie has talked about, but I also like to be a faithful participant in the Calvary Choir. Please come join us Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. However God leads you, pray boldly, stretch faithfully, and celebrate joyfully as you make your commitment. Number 2, there's still time to sign up for a connect group. As we mentioned, this is one of the best ways to grow in faith and build friendships. Men's groups, women's groups, couples, parents, young adults, and you name it.
Just try it for 5 sessions and see where God leads you. Our Elizabeth Circle Connect group has been life-giving. We wouldn't trade it for anything. And finally, Trunk or Treat is back on October 31st from 4:30 to 6 o'clock in Calvary's parking lot. It's a fun and safe night for families and a huge way to show our community Calvary's hospitality.
But it takes a lot of candy, 40,000 pieces, so pick up a few bags and drop them off here at church.
It's one of the sweetest ways we can be all in for our community.
That's this week's Top 3. Remember, you can always find the top 3 at calvaryalec.org or by scanning the QR code on the seat back in front of you.
Thanks for joining us today, and let's keep going all in as we follow Jesus together.
Thank you, Bonnie and Linda. As we close today, generosity is such a big part of who we are here at Calvary. We believe generosity, as followers of Jesus, it's just what we do. And so as we close today, I want to say thank you for your generosity that allows us to do all we do as a church family, from bagging bags of food for families in need to building bread ovens in places like Costa Rica. It's because of you. You are the hands and feet of Jesus. And so as we close today, we're going to give thanks, but we're also going to give back. I invite you to make your offerings today that support the ministries of this church in any of the ways on the screen. The first and easiest way is to use our website. Head to calvaryalec.org, hit the button that says Give, and there you can make a one-time, or I want to encourage you to consider a reoccurring gift. You can use that app on your phone, Venmo. You can write a check and drop it in the mail to the address on the screen. Or if you're maybe not certain how you are to make your gift, or you want to make a special gift, just give us a call in the church office. We'd love to connect with you. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Have a great one.